They're out there, lurking in the vastness of space. Planets so weird, even science fiction could not. Is hot, and rain is made of iron. They are uncharted, unearthly. Scientists seek the greatest discoveries of all. Planets like ours, alien Earths. This Delta II rocket is going through its final pre-flight check.
71.3.
Drop 1.
Engine start, 1, 0, and lift.
The Kepler Space Observatory is hunting for planets like Earth within a region of 100,000 stars. Day to go, with one of the most profound scientific discoveries ever made. Routine observation of stars in the constellation Pegasus, located 50 light-years away. But the instruments show
the velocity changing with time.
What is powerful enough to disturb a star the size of our sun around another sun-like star?
Problem in detecting planets around other stars is that as a planet orbits a nearby star, that planet gets...
Odds. Mayor relies on his data and is convinced the wobbles are caused by the gravitational pull of an orbiting planet.
And I thought to myself, oh boy, here we go again. Exactly as Michel Mayor had said.
Michel Mayor and his teammate Didier Queloz announced their discovery.
Found a sun-like star.
Officially called 50, it is a planet that breaks all the rules. Bellerophon roasts in the blazing. It is nearly 150 times more massive than Earth and is a gas giant like Jupiter.
It doesn't resemble a gas at all.
Unlike anything found in our solar system, this is an entirely new cloud.
It's very, very hot.
The Earth is a comfortable 93 million miles away from the Sun.
If this represents a star, and this a hot Jupiter is 3 to 4 stellar diameters away from the star. So that would be same face to the star at all times, just like the moon does to Earth.
It's going to be permanent daylight on one side and permanent nighttime would make its way around the back.
The variations in per hour, far beyond anything we could ever withstand. The heat blast guarantees water vapor cannot exist. Iron vapor can exist at temperatures much higher than water. And because of that, things
It's going to start coating your umbrella very rapidly and making it extremely heavy and just crush that umbrella.
Charged particles from the nearby star make auroras far more extreme than the northern lights on Earth. There is some 0.2 days.
No self-respecting planet goes around a star in 4.2 days. None of the planets in our solar system take such a short amount of...
The fact that the planet was orbiting every 4 days was a total puzzle until one night in the middle of the night I woke up and said, well, this must be proof that planets migrate.
Planets are a byproduct of star formation. When stars form, they have a disk of dust and debris around them, and out of
This interstellar cloud is studded with collapsing disks of dust and gas. Temperatures reach a searing 18 million degrees. The same nuclear fusion that powers our sun is unleashed. It's a stellar wind that sweeps away leftover dust and debris. Some of the dust survives, and the asteroids grow into planets. These planets migrate through the disk, but one newly discovered world has found its stable orbit in a place no planet should ever go. In the constellation of Pegasus. This is the same region where Bellerophon was found 6 years earlier. From Bellerophon.
You've probably heard of the planet HD 209458b. It's a terrible name.
Osiris, after the Egyptian god of the dead. Osiris is over 200 times more massive than Earth. It is low. The average daily temperature on Osiris is over 2,000 degrees. Forget global warming.
There's a leak of gas, a steady stream of hydrogen and helium, and that's making a big, huge cloud all around the planet.
Spirals behind the planet for thousands of miles. Osiris presents an unprecedented opportunity.
This is the absolutely first time where we could tell what is the composition of the atmosphere of a...
Hubble detects many of the basic chemicals needed for life. Sodium, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen.
That thrive on higher temperatures.
But there's no solid surface as we know it on a hot Jupiter. So this life would have to be just tiny little microbes floating around.
Astronomers have discovered many hot Jupiters since Bellerophon was found in 1995. One of these gas giants is a planet that teases the rules of evolution. Shocking about a planet orbiting a star called 16 Cygnus b, located some 70 light-years away in the constellation of Cygnus,
the host star. And this, of course, defied our expectations based on our own solar system, where all of the planets...
Like a giant yo-yo in space, the gas giant swings back and forth across its solar system. That is like the Earth. And like all of the gas giants in our solar system, this yo-yo...
And here's where the interesting story begins. Imagine a rocky moon with lakes, oceans, maybe streams and water...
circles the Earth. This moon is a world with extreme seasons. On Earth,
these poor planets that are in these elongated elliptical orbits suffer terrible changes in their climate throughout a year.
Summer begins. The atmosphere on the Earth-like moon is savaged with raging storms. Category 4. The clouds thicken as the water evaporates. During the peak of the summer, the entire moon is smothered in 800-degree temperatures. 6-month orbit, the summer season is barely 2 months long. But what a season! You would find temperate and comfortable. With the coming ice to form new shorelines. Tranquility prevails as the yo-yo planet enters. The daytime sky is dark. Temperatures hover around 260 degrees below. Winters are long moon as the ice cracks and melts violently. Huge icebergs calve into a stormy and fast short periods during the spring thaw and the autumn rains. The climate on this Earth-like moon is balmy and comfortable. The elliptical orbit of this planet and its moon crosses an area around the star some scientists call The Goldilocks zone. The condition
Everything's going to be icy, but that if you're right in the middle, it's just right.
every star has a Goldilocks zone. Where that zone is depends on the outer boundary. Earth and its abundance of life is right in the middle. The Yo-Yo planet and again in the fall for 3.5 months as it hurtles back into the colder reaches of space. Could life survive the
Animals on the Earth during the winter season. If this sounds fantastic, I offer you the tidal zones on the Earth. On the tidal zones, life proliferates, and yet those species survive perfectly well.
The strange cycle of the Yo-Yo planet's orbit. Some alien planets are even more bizarre. Imagine a world that has no star to orbit space. These are orphaned worlds, planets that are booted from their solar systems by the chaos of planetary migration.
Star. They're just drifting through the galaxy indefinitely.
What massive force would it take to kick a planet out of the solar system?
Slingshot each other so that one of them is ejected from the planetary system, voted off the island, if you will.
If out of the habitable zone.
There are hundreds of billions of these lost, wayward, poor,
Dark. Quiet. Because Planemos have no sun, they are worlds without days or years. Planetary wanderers, sentinels of the galaxy. Just because it's out there drifting in space doesn't mean a Planemo without an atmosphere will slumber in extreme cold. Far colder than the coldest winter day on our own South Pole. It is the ultimate greenhouse effect. The heat and energy comes from the molten core deep inside. The gravitational pull between the Planemo and its moons creates friction, causing the interior of the moons to stay warm. If anything lives here, it will be single cells, like common bacteria found on Earth, derive their energy from the chemistry in the soil of the Planemo, or its moon. They have no access to oxygen nor light, and survive entirely on the chemicals they make from the surrounding dirt. If life dwells on a sunless Planemo, it could be organisms like them, marooned when their planet was young. Lethal pulsar, some 980 light-years from Earth, in the constellation of Virgo. Surroundings with deadly radiation. They are no place for planets. Yet something interferes with the precision of this planet's orbiting a pulsar can exist.
The reason that's a problem is because pulsars are formed in this incredible explosion.
Nova unleashes as much energy in 1 minute as our sun generates in its lifetime.
When a star goes supernova, the shockwave is
Of the red giant, pulsing in the heart of an expanding debris field. Within this chaos, a new world arises, born of fire and destruction. A planetary
Pulsar will give you the feeling of being in a disco bar with a very strong strobe light, which is the pulsar.
Star has these very strong magnetic fields that are being spun around as the star is rotating quickly, and it's picking up any material, electrons, protons, and speeding them up and slinging.
For even simple life, microbial life, to emerge and to flourish on a planet around a pulsar. Largely because if you were in the
shows how new worlds can form in the wake of a star's destruction. No matter where a planet arises, the process of its birth is before the beginning. 2007. Astronomers using the giant Gemini by its catalog number HD 23514 is surrounded by a giant donut-shaped cloud of dust and gas. In astronomical terms, our sun is 45 times older. The conditions are perfect for planets to form. Typically, a newborn star is surrounded by fledgling planets.
Not realizing that they're in an orbit that's too close to another planet.
Millions of years ago, two primordial worlds close in. Tidal forces torque each planet from spheres to egg shapes. Nothing remains. The two worlds are annihilated. A similar apocalypse came to Earth. A Mars-sized planet forms in roughly the same orbit as the newborn Earth.
If you happen to be unlucky enough to be standing on a growing planet when it was in the process of still becoming the Earth, you might wake up one morning and notice that the sky was getting...
And when it hits, the shock wave is felt all over the planet. Space. The entire globe is peppered by meteors and noxious vapor.
Will actually make
coalesces and forms our moon. It is a new beginning for our planet.
Collisions are part of the...
Colliding pieces of rock are forming terrestrial worlds that defy the imagination. It is not just one planet. It is a new type of planet. Earth on steroids.
One family that the super Earth resemble just like our own Earth. Continents, oceans. Some of them may be very dry, like Mars.
Gliese 581c. It's only 20 light-years away in the constellation of Libra and is one of the smallest terrestrial planets found beyond our solar Earth, with 5 times the mass of our home planet. But it's the possibility of liquid water that excites scientists.
Clouds and blue sky above you. The winds on the ocean world are going to be similar to that of the Earth. So it will be a very...
No land anywhere. Even miles beneath the surface. See, the pressure builds. At 35,000 feet below the surface, we pass the point where the deepest oceans on Earth the pressure is so great. What ocean depth on Earth? We reach the bottom.
When you have a large amount of water, then at the bottom of an ocean, that is the ocean, into a state which we call ice 7.
But if you form ice under very high pressure, then the water molecules can become ordered, they can become aligned.
This is halite, also known commonly as rock salt.
Ice 7 may exist within our own solar system. The pressure from the crust is so great that Ice 7 might exist deep within these uncharted seas. If we...
One could imagine that life could emerge on a water world. After all, water is essential to life on Earth.
In the microwave yourself.
On this water world, there could be bacteria or any kind of life in the ocean itself.
Major families of mostly rocky with some water and mostly water with an endless ocean. But one has to add to those.
Carbon Planet is unlike anything we've ever seen anywhere. A place with an alien chemistry, but loaded and poor and inhospitable. But science is on the trail of a new type of planet, an entire world of
Where there's more carbon than oxygen, then planet formation is very different.
spectral analysis shows carbon to be far more plentiful, 20 abundance of carbon. The morning sky on a carbon world would be anything but crystal clear and blue.
Made out of compounds like methane or gasoline. I'm picturing these bubbling, foul-smelling pits of black ooze, like an methane, butane, pentane, benzene, all these different kinds of carbon compounds that separate out.
Alien as carbon planets might seem, the air quality could be familiar to some.
The air in a very benzene-rich.
Despite the pollution, carbon planets could come with a sparkling upside.
You might see them.
The secrets of exotic planets like these are waiting to be discovered all across the galaxy. But the next Earth.
People always ask me, do I think we're going to find another planet like Earth?
We think that essentially every star has several Earth mass or super Earth mass planets. So if you have, say, 200 billion stars in the galaxy, that may mean there
is the first instrument capable of finding one of these planets.
Kepler is looking at the constellation, and the goal of Kepler is simple: to look for stars among the 100,000 that dim.
When a star dims like gets blocked, we'll tell scientists about the size of the planet and the distance from its sun.
A good analogy for this is looking for a tiny dip in the light as the planet transits.
It is a very powerful technique because it allows you to
changing the course of science.
We think we may be able to find a planet that is habitable in the next few years.
That anybody looking for life beyond the Earth is facing today is, what if we don't recognize life even though we discover it?
Hairs stand up on the back of our necks.
Whatever that sign is, it will be the first chapter on the greatest science.
It's very, very hot.
The Earth is a comfortable 93 million miles away from the Sun. Spirals behind the planet for thousands of miles. OSIRIS presents an unprecedented opportunity. Despite the pollution, carbon planets could come with a sparkling upside.
You might see
in astronomical terms. Our Sun is 45 times older. The conditions are perfect for planets to form.
For even simple life, microbial life, to emerge and to flourish on a planet around a pulsar. Largely because if you were in the
one could imagine that life could emerge on a water world. After all, water is essential to life on Earth.
That anybody looking for life beyond the Earth is facing today is, what if we don't recognize life even though we discover it?
It is the ultimate greenhouse effect. The heat and energy comes from the molten core deep inside. If anything lives here, it will be single cells, like common bacteria found on Earth, different from Bellerophon.
You've probably heard of the planet HD 209458b. It's a terrible name.